Hi, I'm Amanda Jones, and in this video I'm going to be presenting ORPTA. ORPTA is a made-up numeration system with symbols instead of digits that we're used to kind of get us into completely away from our numeration system that we know and love and are used to kind of put us in the world of maybe a preschooler or a kindergartner that's first learning how to count. So the frustration that you feel when you are learning ORPTA is very similar to what your students may experience. And so try to step into that frame of mind as I present this. Now, this is not my system. I did not make this up. This I found at a conference at UTK. So some ladies from UTK, Katie, Hopkins, Price, and Strunk wrote a paper on this, and I'll link it down below. This is not my original work, but I'm just presenting it to you in a video format so that it can be there for my students as kind of a review for ORPTA. We'll present it in class, and then if you need a little extra, that's what this is for, is just to just present it again if you missed that day, or if you just need to brush up on it. This is for you to kind of understand, hopefully understand, and get just a little bit more instruction on this very cool, very interesting, but sometimes frustrating system. So we'll start with our symbols in ORPTA, our digits, if you may, and they are going to be star, okay, which represents this many. I'm going to use tally marks, okay, to represent this because we want to go completely away from our system for a little while. Okay, we're going to use at to represent this many, okay, those are tally marks, not digits. Pound and caret. All right, so these are the only digits that represent quantities that we're going to use, okay? So if I'm counting in ORPTA, it's this many, this many, this many, this many, and then how do I represent this many? How do I represent if this is the number, if this is the only digits that I have? Okay, well, we have to have something called a placeholder. ORPTA is a place value system, which means that it does matter where the digit is in the numeral to represent what it is, what it's representing, what the quantity is. And so now that I have kind of exhausted all of my symbols, I need to move into a new place value, okay? So I'm going to move into a place value of this many out of my units. These are units, but I need something here to represent that I have no units. I just have this many, okay? I have one, well, I'm using it, I have star of these, but I have no units. So we are going to use a tilde as our placeholder in ORPTA. All right, so I have, it's not additive, it's so tempting for students to write like caret star or star caret, thinking that you would add these together and get this many, but it is not additive, it is place value. This means that I have star, which represents this many, of these, which is our base. ORPTA is a base this many system, okay? We have this many symbols, this many in our placeholder, so this many symbols. This is the base that we are operating in. We call our base flub, so this is called a flub. So we have star flubs, star of these, and no units, okay? So a flub is this many. So these words and symbols is all made up. It's a little bit of fun and a little bit of a learning tool to once again kind of feel what your students feel. Like, what is this 1 0 mess? Like, why is that 10 and not 1? And what does this 0 represent? And why, when we start adding these together, how does it work? Okay, so that's what your students can feel sometimes. They may feel like it should be an additive system, and it should be 1 0 should be the same as 1. But you have to explain to them that no, now we're in the tens place value. Now we're in the flubs place value. And so we have 1 flub, so that represents this many, and no units, no ones. Okay, so then when I want to represent the next numeral, if I'm just counting, okay, so I have 1 of these, and now I need 1 of these. All right, so you can even see that with the way we write our tally marks. We have 1 of these and 1 of these, star, star. So star of these and star of these. Now if I wanted to have star, flub, and at units, I now have star, at. And these have fun names. Once again, not me, flub. And then this is called a doozle. And then this is called a schult, just because it's fun. All right, the next one, which would be in tally marks. So once again, you can see that flub, and then you can see your number of units. So we have star flubs, and then we have pound units. Okay, and this is called a pal flub. Okay, pal flub. And then for our next one, you can see that star flubs and this many units, and to do this many, it's a caret. So I have star in the flubs place, caret in the units place. Okay. And this is called car flub. All right, we were kind of maxed out. Our next thing is this many flubs, right? Okay, and so now I need, this is kind of representing like a 19, where we've maxed out the second place value. We can't add any more ones here, so we have to move into the next place value and move this up to the next numeral. And so our next one is, we have at flubs. We have this many flubs. So we have an at in the flubs place value, and then we have a tilde to represent that we don't have any units. At flubs, tilde units. And then it goes on from there. It's really fun to write all of these out. I encourage you to do that if you have not already in class. So Addie star, then they get a little bit easier with the names. Addie star, Addie at, Addie pound, Addie caret, and then we would move into poundy. We would have this many flubs, so poundy flubs, okay, pound flubs, and tilde units. So let me go ahead and write that one so you can see. So Addie star, Addie at, Addie pound, Addie caret, and then we would move to poundy, which would be this many. Okay, so pound flubs and no units. All right. And then what happens when we get to, we have poundy, star, poundy, at, poundy, pound, poundy, caret. Then we go into carety. Okay, so carety, which would be this. It would be caret flubs. So that many flubs. Caret in the flub place, no units. All right, and then if we had carety star, carety at, carety pound, carety caret, that would be this many plus this many. I'll write it out. so carroty flubs, carrot flubs, and then carrot units, so carroty carrot. Okay, carrot is our last digit, that's our highest digit in ORPTA, and so this is kind of maxed out, and so that's when we move into our new place value. We've got this many flubs and this many units. We need to add one more unit, so now we have this many flubs, and I don't have a symbol for this many, and so I have to move into the next place value. So now I have, after carroty carrot, I would have what we will call a scubrat, which is this many flubs, okay? And so that is our flub squared, okay? So it represents this many. All right, so you can see those flub, this many flubs, which is a scubrat moving into the next place value, okay? And we can go from there. So we can go scubrat star, scubrat at, and so on. So it would be star, no flubs, and then a star would be the next number after this one if we were just counting. And then we would go to star tilde at for two numbers after those. Okay, and just keep on going like that. And I encourage you to write those out, to just really see that pattern and get the feel of it, and make that parallel connection to our numeration system. But let's get rid of this and do some conversion from ORPTA to our system and in reverse. Okay, so we'll start going from ORPTA to our system, which I think is once again the kind of the forward direction a little bit easier because you can just write an expanded form. So we'll start with just two place values. So let's do Addie star, and we just wrote this probably, or we at least talked about it. Okay, so this is Addie star. At represents this many, and it is in the flubs place. So that means I have this many flubs, which is this many, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and write that just in tally marks. So that's that many flubs, at flubs, and then star units. So we wanted to write this in base 10, and now we're kind of getting into this a little bit. I like to go to tallies and resist going into our numbers as much as possible, but we can see that this is 11, okay? This represents the quantity of 11, okay? Especially when we get into bigger numbers, we don't want to write all those tally marks. All right, let's do that. Let's get into some bigger. So caret at tilde. So now we're getting into the scubrat's place, which is 25. Okay, we'll say that now. It's 5 flubs, which is 25. And we have 4 of those. So we can say this is caret represents 4. This is the digit 4. We have a caret times the place value 25. Okay. And then we have at in the flubs place, and at is 2. So we have 2 flubs. We know that a flub is 5. And then we have tilde units, so we don't have any units. Okay, so this is the place value. The second number, I try to always write it expanded form like this, where the second number in the multiplication is the place value, and the first number is the digit in that. So 4, 2, 0 is what those symbols represent. And then the place value 25, 5, and 1. 5 to the 0, 5 to the 1, 5 squared. This is a base 5 system. Let's do a few more. Okay, so we're back into the scubrat's place here. The pound represents 3, so there's the digit times the place value. Scubrats are 25. No 5, I'm just going to go ahead and write 0 times 5 so you can see that. And 1, 1. And I didn't finish this, so we have 100 plus 10 plus 1, 110, sorry, 0. Okay, 3 times 25 plus 0 plus 1, we have 76 here. Okay, now let's get into one more place value. So let's do star, star, caret, pound. We tend to not go over this with ORPTA. We call this a dren, and then we don't have a number, at least when I was presented ORPTA, we didn't have a name. I mean, we could definitely write it, but we didn't have a name for the next place value. So we'll stick with dren. That'll be as far as we go. So this is 125 place right here. We have a 1 there. So 5 to the 0, 5 to the 1, 5 squared, which is 25, and then 5 to the third, which is 125. So this is 1, because it's a star, times 125, plus 1, because it's a star, times 25, plus 4, caret is 4, times 5, plus, and a pound is 3, so 3 in our unit place, so 3 times 1. And this is equal to 173. All right, so hopefully that's helpful. ORPTA to base 10, ORPTA to our system. Okay, and you can just write it in expanded form with what the digit represents and then what place value it's in. And the place values are powers of 5 because we're in a flub system, and so flub is 5. All right, let's go the other way now. Okay, so I'm going to start with just like drawing some dots and then writing them in ORPTA or tally. I think I'll use tally marks. All right. So if I wanted to represent this quantity in ORPTA, I have at Flubs, and I have pound, which is this many units. So we have Addy pound. Okay. Let's do another one. I do write these strategically, and in class I use something called a flub frame, so that you can, if you're counting these, you can like put them into these 5 by 5 grids, and you can see, and we do this with our students with base 10. We do 10 frames, and they can see the hundreds, how many hundreds we have, how many tens we have, and so on. So you can do the same thing here. So I'm writing this strategically, like I was saying, like this is a group of 5 flubs. So this is our SCUBRAT, and like how many of them do we have? And then I'm doing our groups of flubs here, and I'll do our units. So we can see here we have this many SCUBRATs, and the digit to represent this many is star. And then we have this many flubs, and the digit to represent this many is pound. And then we have this many units, and the digit to represent that many is that. Okay. All right, now I'm going to give you a base 10 numeral, actually give you the number, and we'll convert it. All right. So if I wanted to write 89 in ORPTA, thinking about the powers of flub, okay, we have we have 5 to the 0, which is 1, 5 to the 1, which is 5, 5 squared, which is 25, and then 5 cubed, which is 125. So you can see that 89 is smaller than 125, so we're going to start with how many 25s go into 89. You can do this with division. Base 5 is nice, it's pretty easy, and so we don't need a whole lot of like work there. I'm going to show it to you. We want to see how many 25s are in 89. Of course, there's 3 because we know that 25 times 3 is 75. We do the subtraction, so this tells us how many SCUBRATs are in 89. Okay, how many sets of this many flubs, which is a SCUBRAT. We do the subtraction, and we need this many more. And so then we go to our next place value, which is our flubs. And we see how many of those are in this digit, and there are 2 of them. And this is how many units. So this many SCUBRATs, this many flubs, this many units. I always have to look up 2 and 3. Those are the ones I get mixed up, what the symbols are. So it is pound, which represents this many, at, which represents this many, and carat, which represents this many. All right. Okay, do one more. Go ahead and erase. These are probably the most challenging. All right, so this one does get all the way to the dren. So the 125 does go into the 342. And so I know I'm going to be in the dren's place, and I'm going to be putting 125 into this and seeing how many times it goes. It goes twice. You can probably do all this in your head. Just want to show you the procedure if you wanted to use it. I encourage you to do it in your head as much as you can. Then we move to the next place value, which is 25. It's our Scubrat place. I just like saying all these names. This will go in 3 times, which is that 75. All right, and then our next place is our 5s. How many of those go into what's left? Just 3 of them. And then 2 1s. So 342 would be 2 drens, 2 of these, 3 Scubrats, and 3 is pound, so pound Scubrats, pound Flubs, and then at units. And there's 342 in Orpta. So hopefully that just got you introduced, give you kind of a little overview and some extra instruction on Orpta. I think it's a lot of fun, but I know that my students feel otherwise a lot of times. But once you get used to it, you'll be proud of yourselves for doing something that looks so complicated so easily. Good luck, guys. Bye.